The text message arrived at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, just as I was calculating my final deposit slip for the 1,000th time. OMG, Jordan! The flowers alone are going to be 8,000! Can you believe it? This wedding is going to be perfect! My name is Jordan, and I've been saving for 6 years to buy my first home. 6 years of double shifts at the accounting firm, 6 years of ramen noodles and thrift store clothes, 6 years of watching my friends move into their own places, while I lived in a studio apartment that smelled like the Indian restaurant downstairs. I stared at Zoe's text, my stomach twisting. $8,000 on flowers? My sister worked part-time at a boutique and spent most of her paycheck on designer coffee and yoga classes. Where was this money coming from? That's a lot, I texted back, then immediately deleted it. I tried again. Wow, sounds amazing! The response came instantly. I know, right? Mum says I deserve the fairy tale wedding I've always dreamed of. She's been so helpful with everything. I set my phone down and looked at the bank statement spread across my kitchen table. $47,312. Every penny earned through overtime, freelance tax prep, and selling plasma twice a week for 2 years. My down payment, my future. The next morning, I walked into First National Bank with my paperwork tucked in a manila folder, worn soft from handling. Michelle looked up from her desk and smiled. Jordan, today's the big day, right? The home fund transfer. Finally, I slid into the chair across from her. I can't believe it's actually happening. Michelle had been my friend since high school, back when we both thought we'd be millionaires by 30. She'd chosen banking, I'd chosen accounting, and here we were, still grinding, still dreaming, but at least moving forward. Your parents are coming in to co-sign? She asked, pulling up my account. Yeah, Mum insisted. She said the high-interest account would be better for the money while I house hunt. Dad's name on it too, for the joint liability benefits or something. I shrugged. Honestly, I just want to get this done. Michelle's fingers paused on her keyboard. Joint liability. Right. She looked at me for a long moment. Jordan, you know you don't actually need co-signers for this type of account, right? Your credit is solid. I know, but Mom was really pushy about it. Said it was the smart financial move. Michelle's expression was carefully neutral. Well, your parents know best, I'm sure. Something in her tone made me look up. What? Nothing. Just keep an eye on things, okay? Family and money can get complicated. Before I could ask what she meant, the bank door chimed. Mom swept in wearing her real estate blazer, the one she wore when she wanted to look important. Dad followed behind, checking his phone. Jordan, honey, Mom air-kissed my cheek. Are you ready to make some smart financial decisions? Hi, Mom, Dad. I stood up. Michelle, these are my parents, Rebecca and Nathan. Pleasure to meet you both. Michelle's professional smile was back in place. Let's get this account set up. The paperwork took 20 minutes. Mum asked a dozen questions about interest rates and withdrawal procedures. Dad signed where Michelle pointed, barely reading the documents. I watched them both, that weird feeling from Michelle's comments still nagging at me. All set, Michelle said finally. The funds will transfer within 24 hours. You'll have full access to the high-interest account, and with the co-signers, you have maximum flexibility for large transactions. Perfect. Mum stood up, already reaching for her purse. Jordan, this is going to be wonderful for you. Sometimes you just need family to help you make the right choices. After they left, I lingered at Michelle's desk. Is everything okay with the account? Everything's exactly as you requested. She handed me the paperwork. Just remember what I said about keeping an eye on things. That night, I called Zoe to congratulate her on the engagement again. She'd been gushing about wedding plans for weeks, but tonight felt different. The venue deposit was huge, but so worth it, she said. And wait until you see my dress. It's custom from that designer in the city. Mum found the perfect place for everything. How are you affording all this? The question slipped out before I could stop it. Zoe laughed. Oh, you know, Mum and Dad. They want their baby girl to have the perfect wedding. They've been so generous. My blood went cold. Generous? How? Just helping out with expenses. They said they had some money set aside for family investments, and what better investment than their daughter's happiness? I hung up and stared at my phone, Michelle's warning echoing in my head. Then I opened my banking app and checked my account balance. The number that appeared made my hands shake. $0.00. I called the bank's customer service line at 6 a.m., my hands still shaking. This has to be a mistake, I told the representative. My account shows zero, but I just deposited $47,000 yesterday. Let me check your account history, Ma'am. Keys clicked in the background. I see a large withdrawal yesterday evening at 6:23 p.m. Electronic transfer to Wheeler Wedding Services. The transaction was authorised by Nathan Thornton. The phone slipped from my hand and clattered on the kitchen floor. I called Dad first, straight to voicemail. Then Mom. Voicemail. I tried Dad's office line. Thornton Insurance, this is Nathan. Dad, what the hell did you do with my money? Silence. Then, Jordan, honey, I can't talk right now. I'm with a client. I don't care if you're with the Pope. Where is my money? We'll discuss this at dinner tonight. Your mother's making pot roast. Don't you dare hang up on me. The line went dead. I called in sick to work and spent the day pacing my apartment, calling my parents every hour. By 5 p.m., I was ready to drive to their house and break down the door. Instead, I showed up for dinner. Mom answered the door like nothing had happened. Jordan, perfect timing. The roast just came out. Where's my money? Come sit down. We need to talk as a family. Dad was already at the dining room table, avoiding eye contact. Zoe bounced in from the kitchen, glowing with excitement. Jordan, did you see the photos I posted? The venue is incredible. Sit down, Zoe, Mum said firmly. I remained standing. I want my money back. Now. Honey, please sit. Dad's voice was quiet. Let us explain. Explain what? How you stole $47,000 from me? We didn't steal anything, Mum snapped. We made an investment in this family's future. My future. That was my house money. Zoe looked between us, confused. What's going on? Mum smoothed her napkin. Jordan, you're 29 years old. You've been talking about buying a house for years, but you never actually do it. You just keep saving and saving, too scared to make a move. I was making a move. I was house hunting this weekend. Were you really? Or were you going to find another excuse to wait? Mum's voice turned condescending. Zoe, on the other hand, is getting married. This is a once-in-a-lifetime event. So is buying my first house. Houses can wait. Weddings can't. Mum cut a piece of roast with surgical precision. We used your savings to secure Zoe's deposits. The venue, the caterer, the flowers. Everything had to be paid up front. Zoe's face went white. You used Jordan's money for my wedding. It's an investment in family, Dad said weakly. We'll pay it back. When? I slammed my hand on the table. When will you pay back $47,000? We'll figure it out, Mum said. Maybe we can take out a loan against the house. Maybe. My voice cracked. You spent my entire life savings on maybe? Don't be so dramatic. Mum waved her hand dismissively. You'll thank us later. Zoe's wedding is going to be beautiful, and you'll have wonderful memories. I'll have wonderful memories of being homeless. You're not homeless. You have your apartment, which I was going to give up because I was buying a house. Zoe started crying. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know it was your money. Of course you didn't, I said bitterly. You never ask where anything comes from. You just take. That's enough, Dad said, finally looking at me. We're family. We help each other. Help each other? I laughed, but nothing was funny. When have you ever helped me? When I worked 3 jobs to pay for college? When I lived on cereal for months to save money? When I gave up dating, vacations, new clothes, everything to save for this house? You're being selfish, Mum said coldly. Zoe's happiness matters too. More than mine, apparently. She's getting married, Jordan. This is her time. And when is my time? When do I get to matter? Mum's jaw tightened. When you stop feeling sorry for yourself and start thinking about someone other than yourself. I stared at her, then at Dad, who was studying his plate like it held the secrets of the universe. Then at Zoe, still crying into her napkin. You know what? I stood up. You're right. I should think about someone other than myself. I should think about the family that just destroyed my future for a party. It's not just a party, Zoe whispered. You're right. It's a $47,000 party that I'm apparently paying for. I walked toward the door, then turned back. By the way, Mum, Dad, you might want to read the fine print on that account you co-signed, especially the part about joint liability. Dad's head snapped up. What does that mean? I smiled for the first time all day. It means you're about to find out exactly how much family help costs. The next morning, I sat in my car outside the office building, staring at my phone. 17 missed calls from Mum, 12 from Dad, and 23 text messages from Zoe, ranging from apologies to accusations. I deleted them all and walked inside. You look like hell, Jasper said when I passed his cubicle. Thanks. Really needed to hear that today. Jasper followed me to my desk. Seriously, what's wrong? You never call in sick. I told him everything. The whole story spilled out while I pretended to work on spreadsheets. Jasper listened without interrupting, his expression growing darker with each detail. Jesus, Jordan, your own parents? Apparently, family means I'm the designated ATM. What are you going to do? I pulled up the bank documents on my computer. Remember how you always said my family treats me like a doormat? Yeah, but I didn't think they'd literally rob you. Well, they did. But here's the thing. They might have just made the biggest mistake of their lives. My phone buzzed. Zoe again. Answer it, Jasper said. Put it on speaker. I hit accept. What, Zoe? Jordan, please. We need to talk. Mum's freaking out about what you said last night. Good. She should be freaking out. What did you mean about joint liability? Dad's been on the phone with the bank all morning. Maybe he should have thought about that before spending money that wasn't his. It wasn't just him. Mum made the decision. I didn't even know. Save it, Zoe. You knew the money had to come from somewhere. You just didn't care where. That's not fair. You know what's not fair? Working 60-hour weeks for 6 years while you got manicures and yoga classes. What's not fair is watching you get everything handed to you while I earned every penny. What's not fair is having my dreams stolen to pay for your princess fantasy. Jasper raised his eyebrows and mouthed, Damn. I'm trying to fix this, Zoe said, her voice breaking. Trent's mom is already asking questions about the wedding expenses. She thinks we're being irresponsible. Trent's mum? Beatrice. She's not happy about the costs. She keeps asking how we're affording everything. Smart woman. Jordan, if she finds out the truth, she'll tell everyone. The whole family will know. It'll ruin everything. Everything's already ruined, Zoe. You just haven't figured it out yet. I hung up and looked at Jasper. Trent's mom is suspicious. This is getting better by the minute. You're enjoying this? Damn right I am. My phone rang again. This time it was Michelle. Jordan, I need you to come to the bank. Now. What's wrong? Your father's here with a lawyer. They're asking a lot of questions about the account structure. I'll be right there. 20 minutes later, I walked into the bank to find Dad, pacing in Michelle's office, while a man in an expensive suit took notes. Jordan! Dad jumped up. Thank God! We need to straighten this out. Mr. Thornton, the lawyer said, this is your daughter? Yes. Jordan, this is Richard, my attorney. We're trying to understand the implications of the joint account. I sat down calmly. What would you like to know? The liability structure, Richard said. Your father seems to think there might be some complications. Oh, there are definitely complications. I smiled at Michelle. Would you like to explain, or should I? Michelle cleared her throat. The account Mr. Thornton co-signed has specific terms regarding joint liability for any debts or obligations incurred against the account. What does that mean in plain English? Dad asked. It means, I said slowly, that when you authorised the withdrawal of my money, you became legally responsible for replacing it. Richard frowned. That's not how joint accounts typically work. This isn't a typical joint account, Michelle said. It's a high-yield investment account with specific liability clauses. Mr. Thornton signed as a guarantor. Dad's face went pale. A guarantor for what? For the full amount of any funds withdrawn without the primary account holder's consent, I said, which in this case is $47,000. But I'm your father. I had authorization. No, Dad, you had access. There's a difference. Richard was scribbling furiously. This could be challenged in court. It could be, I agreed. But it won't be, because you're going to pay me back. We don't have $47,000, Dad exploded. Then you shouldn't have spent $47,000. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Beatrice Wheeler, Trent's mother. We need to talk about your sister's wedding expenses. Something doesn't add up. I showed the text to Dad. His face went from pale to grey. She knows, he whispered. Not yet, I said. But she will. And when she does, everyone will know exactly what kind of family the Thorntons really are. Richard closed his notebook. Mr. Thornton, I think we need to discuss settlement options. Settlement? Dad looked confused. Your daughter has you over a barrel, Richard said bluntly. The contract is ironclad. You're liable for the full amount, plus interest and penalties. How much interest? Dad asked weakly. Michelle consulted her computer. At the current rate, approximately 12% annually. I stood up. You have 48 hours to figure out how you're going to pay me back. After that, the bank starts collection proceedings. Jordan, please. 48 hours, Dad. Tick-tock. I walked out, leaving them staring after me. Outside, I called Jasper. How'd it go? Better than expected. They're panicking, Trent's mum is suspicious, and I just gave them a 48-hour deadline. Damn, girl. Remind me never to cross you. Too late for my family to learn that lesson. I met Michelle at a coffee shop after work, away from the bank's cameras and recording systems. You're really going through with this? She asked, sliding a folder across the table. They stole my life savings for a party. What would you do? Probably the same thing. She opened the folder. Here's what I found. The account terms allow for emergency loans against the principal, with the co-signers as guarantors. Since your father authorised the original withdrawal, he's already established precedent for large transactions. How large can we go? Up to 5 times the original deposit amount, so roughly $235,000. I nearly choked on my coffee. $235,000? The loan would be fast maturing. 6 months at 15% interest. If it's not paid back in full, the guarantors are liable for the entire amount plus penalties. And the penalties? Asset seizure, starting with real estate. I stared at the paperwork. Their house. Their house. My phone buzzed. Another text from Beatrice Wheeler. I've done some research on wedding costs. Your sister's expenses don't match her income. I'm calling a family meeting. I showed Michelle the text. Trent's mom is not messing around, Michelle said. Good, let her dig. The more people who know the truth, the better. Jordan, are you sure about this? Once you sign these papers, there's no going back. I picked up the pen. They made their choice when they stole from me. Now, I'm making mine. The loan documents took 20 minutes to complete. Michelle walked me through every clause, every penalty, every consequence. When I signed the final page, my hand was steady. The money will be available tomorrow morning, Michelle said. What are you going to do with it? Something they'll never expect. That evening, I drove to Zoe's apartment. She answered the door in her pajamas, eyes red from crying. Jordan, I've been trying to call you all day. I know, we need to talk. She led me to her living room, where wedding magazines were scattered across the coffee table, like evidence of a crime. Trent's mom called, Zoe said. She wants to meet with our whole family tomorrow night. What did you tell her? That we'd be there. What else could I say? Zoe collapsed on the couch. She knows something's wrong. She keeps asking about the deposits, the vendor payments, everything. Maybe you should tell her the truth. Are you insane? She already thinks I'm not good enough for Trent. If she finds out we used stolen money for the wedding, she'll make him call it off. Stolen money. At least you're finally being honest about what it was. Zoe flinched. I didn't know, Jordan. I swear I didn't know it was your house money. But you knew it had to come from somewhere. You knew Mum and Dad don't have that kind of cash lying around. I thought maybe they took out a loan or something. They did take out a loan against my future. What can I do to fix this? I sat down across from her. Cancel the wedding. What? Cancel it. Return the deposits. Give me back my money. I can't do that. The invitations are already sent. The dress is being altered. Everything's booked. Then you're going to lose everything anyway. What do you mean? I pulled out my phone and showed her the bank app. See this? This is a loan I took out today, $235,000. Zoe's eyes widened. Why would you? Because Mum and Dad are the guarantors. If I don't pay it back in 6 months, they lose their house. You wouldn't. I already did. Zoe stared at the screen. This is insane. You're destroying our family over money. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just making sure everyone pays for their choices. What do you want from me? I want you to understand what it feels like to lose everything you've worked for. I never worked for anything. You're right, okay? I've been handed everything my whole life, but that's not my fault. No, but what you do now is your choice. My phone rang. Mom. Don't answer it, Zoe said. I answered anyway. Hi, Mom. Jordan, we need to talk. Your father's been at the bank all day. They're saying terrible things about loans and foreclosure. Are they? How interesting. This has gone too far. You're being vindictive. I'm being fair. You took my money, now you pay it back. We don't have that kind of money. Then you shouldn't have spent that kind of money. Fine, we'll sell something. The boat, maybe some jewellery. But this loan business has to stop. The loan is already processed, Mum. It's done. Silence. Then, what loan? Ask Dad. He signed for it. I hung up and looked at Zoe, who was staring at me like I'd grown a second head. You're really going to destroy them, she whispered. They destroyed me first. But they're our parents. And I'm their daughter. That didn't stop them from stealing from me. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Trent. My mum wants to meet tomorrow at 7 p.m. She says it's urgent. Please don't make this worse than it already is. I showed the text to Zoe. He knows, she said. Good. It's time everyone knew. I stood up to leave, then turned back. Zoe, you have one chance to do the right thing. Tell the truth tomorrow night, or I will. And if I don't? I smiled. Then you'll find out exactly how much your fairy tale wedding really cost. The Wheeler family meeting was held at Trent's parents' house, a pristine colonial with manicured lawns that screamed, "We have our finances in order." I arrived exactly at 7, finding my parents' car already in the driveway. Beatrice Wheeler answered the door. She was everything I expected. Sharp suit, calculating eyes, the kind of woman who balanced her checkbook to the penny. "Jordan, I presume. I'm Beatrice. We need to have a very frank discussion." The living room felt like a courtroom. Beatrice sat behind a coffee table covered with printed spreadsheets and bank statements. Trent paced by the window. My parents huddled on one couch, while Zoe perched on the edge of another, looking like she might bolt. "Thank you all for coming," Beatrice began. "I've been reviewing the wedding expenses, and I have concerns." Dad cleared his throat. "Mrs. Wheeler, I'm sure we can explain." "Please, let me finish." Beatrice's voice could cut glass. The venue deposit alone was $18,000. The catering is another $22,000. The flowers, as Zoe mentioned, are $8,000. The dress was $6,000. She looked around the room. That's $54,000 just in deposits. "It's going to be a beautiful wedding," Mum said weakly. "I'm sure it will be. My question is, how are you paying for it?" Silence stretched like a rubber band about to snap. "We've been saving," Dad said finally. "Have you?" Beatrice pulled out another sheet. "Because I took the liberty of researching average salaries for insurance agents in this area. Combined with your wife's part-time real estate income, your household brings in approximately $78,000 annually." Dad's face flushed. "That's a very personal—" "This entire situation is personal, Mr. Thornton. My son is marrying your daughter. I have every right to understand how this wedding is being financed." Trent stopped pacing. "Mum, maybe we should—" "Sit down, Trent." Beatrice didn't look away from my parents. "After taxes, insurance, and your mortgage, you have maybe $1,500 of disposable income per month. To save $54,000 would take you 3 years of putting away every spare penny." "We took out a loan," Mum said quickly. "Against what collateral?" "The house," Dad mumbled. Beatrice's eyebrows shot up. "You mortgaged your home for a wedding?" "It's an investment in our daughter's happiness," Mum said, her voice getting defensive. "An investment?" Beatrice turned to Zoe. "And what about you, dear? What's your contribution to this investment?" Zoe looked like a deer in headlights. I work at the boutique. Part-time retail, maybe $20,000 a year." Beatrice consulted her notes. "Yet you're wearing a $2,000 engagement ring and driving a car that's barely 2 years old." "My parents help me out sometimes," Zoe whispered. "Help you out?" Beatrice's smile was razor sharp. "How generous." I decided it was time. "Actually, Mrs. Wheeler, there's something you should know about how generous my parents really are." "Jordan, don't," Dad warned. "Don't what? Don't tell the truth." Beatrice leaned forward. "Please, continue." "My parents didn't take out a loan against their house. They stole $47,000 from me." The room exploded. "That's not true!" Mom shot to her feet. "We didn't steal anything," Dad protested. "You what?" Trent stared at his fiancée. "I didn't know." Zoe burst into tears. "Quiet!" Beatrice's voice cut through the chaos. "Jordan, explain." I pulled out my phone and showed her the bank statements. I've been saving for 6 years to buy a house. I put the money in a high-interest account. My parents convinced me to let them co-sign. Then they withdrew every penny to pay for Zoe's wedding. Beatrice studied the screen, her expression growing colder by the second. Without your permission? Without my knowledge? That's theft. That's what I said. Trent slumped into a chair. Jesus Christ, Zoe, is this true? I didn't know it was her house money, Zoe sobbed. They just said they had money set aside for family investments. Family investments? Beatrice repeated slowly. How interesting. She turned to my parents. So, you stole from one daughter to pay for the other daughter's wedding? We didn't steal, Mum started. You took money that wasn't yours without permission. That's the definition of theft. Beatrice's voice was ice. And now you're all sitting in my living room, planning to celebrate this theft with champagne and dancing. It's not that simple, Dad said desperately. It's exactly that simple. I stood up. But here's the part they haven't told you yet. Jordan, please, Mum begged. I took out a loan today, $235,000. My parents are the guarantors. Beatrice's eyes widened. $235,000. If it's not paid back in 6 months, they lose their house. You did what? Trent jumped up. I gave them a taste of their own medicine. This is insane, Dad shouted. You're destroying the family. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just making sure everyone understands the real cost of Zoe's fairy tale. Beatrice stood up slowly. Trent, we're leaving. Now. Mum. Now, Trent. Zoe grabbed Trent's arm. Please, we can fix this. We can return some of the deposits. Return the deposits? Beatrice laughed bitterly. Dear, this wedding is built on stolen money and lies. There's nothing to fix. But I love him. Love? Beatrice looked at her with disgust. You don't even know what love means. Love doesn't steal from family. Love doesn't build happiness on someone else's misery. She turned to my parents. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Both of you. Mrs. Wheeler, please, Mum started. Don't. Just don't. Beatrice headed for the door. Trent, 5 minutes. Say whatever you need to say and meet me in the car. After she left, the room fell silent except for Zoe's crying. Well, I said finally, I guess the cat's out of the bag. Are you happy now? Mom hissed. You've ruined everything. I didn't ruin anything. I just told the truth. The truth? Dad's voice cracked. The truth is, you're going to destroy us all over money. The truth is, you already destroyed me. I'm just returning the favour. Trent looked at Zoe, his face full of pain and confusion. I can't do this, Zoe. I can't marry into this. Trent, please. I'm sorry. I really am, but this is too much. He walked out, leaving us in the wreckage of what used to be a family. The next 3 days were a blur of desperate phone calls and frantic text messages that I ignored. My parents called my work. My friends even tried showing up at my apartment building. I had the doorman turn them away. On Thursday morning, Jasper found me in the break room, staring at my coffee. Your sister's been calling the office, he said. She sounds pretty desperate. Good. She says the wedding's off. Trent broke up with her. I looked up. Really? Really? She also says your parents are meeting with bankruptcy lawyers. Even better. Jasper sat down across from me. Jordan, I know they screwed you over, but what? I should feel sorry for them. I'm just saying, maybe it's time to pump the brakes. You've made your point. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Richard, your father's attorney. We need to discuss settlement terms immediately. The situation is critical. I showed Jasper the text. Critical? How? Before I could answer, my phone rang. Michelle. Jordan, you need to get down here. Now. What's wrong? Your parents are here with their lawyer and a bankruptcy attorney. They're trying to discharge the debt. Can they do that? Not easily, but they're claiming financial hardship and fraud. Fraud? They're saying you tricked them into signing documents they didn't understand. I grabbed my keys. I'll be right there. 20 minutes later, I walked into the bank's conference room to find my parents, 2 lawyers, and Michelle sitting around a table covered with paperwork. Jordan, Dad stood up. Thank God, we need to talk. Sit down, Mr. Thornton, the bankruptcy lawyer said. He was a thin man with tired eyes who looked like he'd seen this drama 1,000 times. Ms. Thornton, I'm David Walsh. I represent your parents in their bankruptcy filing. Bankruptcy filing? Your parents are insolvent, Walsh said. The loan you secured has put them in an impossible financial position. That was the point. The point was to destroy your family's financial future. The point was to get my money back. Richard, Dad's original lawyer, leaned forward. Jordan, we can work this out. Your parents are willing to return what they can. What they can? They spent $47,000. I want $47,000 back. They don't have it, Walsh said bluntly. Their house is worth maybe $200,000, but they owe $160 on the mortgage. Their cars are financed. They have about $3,000 in savings. Then they shouldn't have spent money they didn't have. Jordan, please. Mum spoke for the first time. She looked like she'd aged 10 years in 3 days. We made a mistake, a terrible mistake, but this loan you took out will destroy us. You destroyed me first. We can sell the house, Dad said desperately. Downsize to an apartment. Give you whatever equity we have. That's maybe $40,000, Walsh said. Still leaves you short. Then I guess you should have thought about that before you stole from me. Michelle cleared her throat. There is another option. Everyone turned to look at her. The wedding vendors. If the deposits are returned, that's most of the money right there. The deposits are non-refundable, Mum said quickly. Actually, Michelle pulled out a folder. I called around. Most vendors have a 72-hour grace period for full refunds. After that, it's 50%. It's been a week, Richard said, but the wedding hasn't been officially cancelled. If Zoe calls today and cancels citing family emergency, most vendors will work with her. Zoe won't do it, Mum said. She's devastated about Trent. She's not thinking clearly. Then maybe someone should help her think clearly, I said. My phone rang. Zoe. Don't answer it, Dad said. I answered anyway and put it on speaker. What, Zoe? Jordan, I'm at the venue. They want to know about the final head count. Her voice was hollow, defeated. What do I tell them? Tell them the truth. The wedding's off. I can't say it out loud. Then I'll say it for you. The wedding is cancelled. Get your deposits back. They won't give them back. It's been too long. Michelle leaned toward the phone. Zoe, this is Michelle from the bank. If you call today and explain there was a family emergency, most vendors will refund at least 50%. 50% isn't enough, Walsh said. It's a start, Michelle replied. Zoe, I said, you have a choice. Cancel the wedding and get what money back you can, or watch Mom and Dad lose their house. Silence on the line. Zoe, Dad called out. Honey, are you there? I'm here. Her voice was barely a whisper. I can't believe this is happening. It's happening because of choices, I said. Your choice now is what happens next. If I cancel everything, will you call off the loan? I looked around the room at the desperate faces staring at me. If you get back $30,000, I'll reduce the loan by that amount. That still leaves over $200,000, Walsh pointed out. Then you better hope she can get more than 30 back. Jordan, Zoe's voice cracked. I loved him. I really loved him. I know. This was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. Instead, it became the worst day of mine. I'm sorry. I'm so, so sorry. Sorry doesn't pay my rent, Zoe. Sorry doesn't buy my house. Sorry doesn't give me back 6 years of my life. What do you want me to do? I want you to fix what you broke. The line went quiet for a long moment. Then, okay, I'll start calling vendors. After she hung up, the room stayed silent. This is just the beginning, I said, standing up. You have 5 months and 3 weeks to figure out the rest. Jordan, Dad's voice broke, we're your family. You should have remembered that before you stole from me. I walked out, leaving them to figure out how to clean up the mess they'd made. 2 weeks later, Michelle called me into the bank for what she called the final meeting. I walked into the conference room to find my parents looking like they'd been through a war. Dad had lost weight, Mum's hair was unwashed, and they both had the hollow-eyed look of people who hadn't slept in days. Walsh, the bankruptcy lawyer, was there with a stack of papers. Michelle sat at the head of the table with her laptop open. Jordan, Michelle said, your parents have liquidated everything they can. She slid a statement across the table. Zoe managed to get back $28,000 from the vendors. Your parents sold their boat for $12,000, cashed out Dad's retirement account for $15,000 after penalties, and sold your mother's jewelry for $3,000. That's $58,000, I said. Still leaves $177,000 on the loan, Walsh said grimly. Plus interest, Michelle added, which brings the total to about $195,000. Dad's hand shook as he reached for his coffee. Jordan, we've done everything we can. We've sold everything we own except the house. Then sell the house. If we sell the house, Mom said, her voice barely above a whisper, we'll be homeless. We're 58 and 55 years old. No one's going to give us a mortgage for a new place. You should have thought about that before you made me homeless in my dreams. Walsh leaned forward. Ms. Thornton, your parents are prepared to sign over the deed to their house. It's worth about $200,000. After paying off their existing mortgage, that leaves roughly $40,000 in equity. That's still not enough. It's everything they have. Then they should have taken everything they had before they took everything I had. Jordan, Dad's voice cracked, please, we're begging you, we made a mistake. A terrible, awful mistake. But we're your parents. We love you. Funny way of showing it. Mum started crying. I know we hurt you. I know we were wrong, but this is destroying us. Good. Now you know how I felt. We'll pay you back, Dad said desperately. However long it takes. We'll get jobs, we'll work until we die if we have to. You're 58 years old, Dad. Even if you worked until you were 80, you couldn't pay back $200,000. Then, what do you want from us? Mom screamed. What will make this stop? I looked at her tear-stained face, at Dad's shaking hands, at the lawyers who were trying not to look uncomfortable. I want you to understand what you did to me. We understand. No, you don't. You think this is about money. It's not about money. I stood up and walked to the window. For 6 years, I worked myself to death saving for one thing, one dream, a house, a place that was mine, a place where I mattered. You matter to us, Dad said. I turned around. Do I? Because when Zoe needed something, you didn't hesitate to destroy my dream to give it to her. You didn't even ask me, you just took it. You thought I didn't matter as much as she did. You thought my dreams were less important than her party. That's not true. Isn't it? When's the last time you helped me with anything? When's the last time you celebrated something I accomplished? When's the last time you put me first? The room went silent. That's what I thought. I sat back down. You want to know what will make this stop? Nothing. Because you can't undo what you did. You can't give me back 6 years of sacrifice. You can't give me back my trust. You can't give me back my family. We're still your family, Mum whispered. No, you're not. Family doesn't steal from each other. Family doesn't choose favourites. Family doesn't destroy each other's dreams. Walsh cleared his throat. Ms. Thornton, we need to resolve this today. The bank won't wait much longer. Michelle nodded. The loan payment is due in 4 months. If it's not paid, collection proceedings begin immediately. What does that mean? Dad asked. Asset seizure, Walsh said bluntly, starting with the house. And after that, garnished wages, frozen accounts, credit destruction. Your financial life will be over. Dad put his head in his hands. Jordan, please, I'm begging you, call off the loan. We'll find another way to pay you back. There is no other way. You don't have the money. Then what's the point of this? What's the point of destroying us if you're never going to get your money back anyway? I looked at him for a long moment. The point is that actions have consequences. The point is that you can't just take whatever you want from people and expect them to smile and forgive you. So this is revenge? This is justice. Justice. Mum's voice was bitter. This is cruelty. You want to talk about cruelty? Cruelty is working 3 jobs while your sister gets manicures. Cruelty is eating ramen for months to save money while your parents take your sister out to expensive dinners. Cruelty is having your life savings stolen for someone else's party. I stood up again. You made your choice. Now live with it. Jordan, Dad's voice broke completely. If you do this, we'll lose everything. We'll have nothing left. Welcome to how I felt 2 weeks ago. But we're your parents. And I'm your daughter. That didn't stop you. I picked up my purse and headed for the door. 4 months, I said, without turning around. Figure it out. Behind me, I heard Mum collapse into sobs and Dad's broken whisper. What have we done? I walked out and didn't look back. The foreclosure notice arrived on a Tuesday. I know because Zoe called me crying at 6 a.m. They're taking the house, Jordan. The bank is taking Mum and Dad's house. I was getting ready for work, standing in my tiny bathroom, brushing my teeth. I know. You know, that's all you have to say. What do you want me to say? I want you to stop this. They're your parents. They were my parents. Jordan, please. They're living in their car. Mum's sleeping in the back seat of a Honda Civic. Dad's showering at the gym. I spit out my toothpaste. Sounds rough. How can you be so cold? Practice. The line went quiet for a moment. Then, I'm pregnant. That stopped me. What? I'm pregnant. Trent and we got back together last month. We're trying to work things out, but his mum won't even look at me. And now, with Mum and Dad homeless. Congratulations. That's it? Your sister tells you she's having a baby and that's all you say. What do you want me to say, Zoe? That I'm happy for you? That I hope your kid has better parents than we did? We had good parents. We had parents who played favourites. There's a difference. They made one mistake. One $47,000 mistake that destroyed my life. Your life isn't destroyed. You have a job. You have an apartment. I have a studio apartment that smells like curry and a job that barely pays my bills. I was supposed to have a house, Zoe. I was supposed to have a life. You can still have those things. With what money? The money I loaned out to teach our parents a lesson? The money they'll never be able to pay back? Silence. Jordan, Zoe's voice was small. What if I told you there was a way to get your money back? I'm listening. Trent's mom, she feels bad about how everything went down. She knows you got screwed over. She's willing to pay off the loan. I sat down hard on my bed. What? She'll pay the bank directly. $200,000. But there are conditions. Of course there are. You have to agree to family counselling. All of us. And you have to promise not to go after Mom and Dad for any other debts. That's it? That's it. I stared at my reflection in the mirror across from my bed. The woman looking back at me was thinner than she used to be, with dark circles under her eyes and a hardness around her mouth that hadn't been there 6 months ago. Why would she do that? Because she's about to be a grandmother, and she doesn't want her grandchild growing up in a family that's been destroyed by money. Smart woman. So, you'll do it? I thought about my parents sleeping in their car, about Mom's jewellery sold for grocery money, about Dad's retirement fund gone, about the house I'd grown up in being sold to strangers. I'll think about it. Jordan, I hung up. That afternoon, I drove to the park where I used to go as a kid. There was a bench by the pond where I'd sit and dream about my future house. White picket fence, big kitchen, garden in the back. My phone buzzed. A text from Michelle. Beatrice Wheeler just called. She wants to meet tomorrow at 2 p.m. Are you interested? I typed back, yes. The next day, I sat across from Beatrice in her pristine living room. She looked older than I remembered, more tired. I'm going to be direct, she said. This situation is destroying everyone involved, including my son. I didn't start this. No, but you're the only one who can end it. She slid a check across the coffee table. $200,000. This pays off your loan completely. Your parents keep their house. Everyone moves on. What's the catch? No catch, just a request. She leaned forward. My grandchild is going to need family. All of their family, including you. I picked up the check. You're buying me off. I'm buying peace for everyone. And if I don't take it, then you get nothing. Your parents lose everything and my grandchild grows up in a broken family. I stared at the check. More money than I'd ever seen in one place. There's something else, Beatrice said. I've been looking at houses in your price range. There's a nice little place about 10 minutes from here. 2 bedrooms, good neighbourhood. The seller is motivated. She slid another paper across the table. A real estate listing. $45,000. Cash offer, quick close. I looked at the photo. It wasn't my dream house. It was small, needed work, had no picket fence, but it had good bones and a yard where kids could play. Why are you doing this? Because sometimes the only way to win is to make sure everyone else doesn't lose. I folded the check and put it in my purse. I'll need the family counselling sessions to be with someone I choose. Done. And I want a written apology from my parents. A real one, not some bullshit about misunderstandings. I'll make sure they understand. I stood up. Mrs. Wheeler? Yes? Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when your family is speaking to each other again. That evening, I called Michelle and told her to process the loan payoff. Then I called the real estate agent about the house. Finally, I called Zoe. It's done, I said when she answered. Really? Really? The loan is paid off. Mom and Dad can keep their house. Oh my God, Jordan, thank you. Thank you so much. Don't thank me. Thank your future mother-in-law. I will. I'll thank her every day for the rest of my life. Zoe? Yeah? Congratulations on the baby, really. Thanks. And Jordan, I'm sorry for everything. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I'm sorry. I know you are. After I hung up, I sat in my tiny apartment and looked around. In 2 weeks, I'd be living in my own house. Not the house I'd dreamed of, but a house that was mine. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is your father, thank you. I deleted it without responding. Some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. But sometimes, from the ashes, you can build something new. I picked up the real estate listing and smiled. It was time to go home.